Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you on a Wednesday morning. I'm usually a nighter owl than I am earlier in the day. Just going to share this out. Thank you for joining me. This isn't my regular session. This is a special session. Today we are talking prime deals. And my goodness, there is no possibility of me covering them all in this session. So let me get this. Okay. Almost. Thank you for your patience. There's a lot of Lifepro out there. Just give me a sec. One more share. Okay. Looks like I am starting to see some of you pop in now. I'll ask for those of you that are joining me, if somebody can let me know if they can see and hear me on the stream, and I'll start some rambling here. I think I'm just going to start some rambling. Okay. Perfect. Well, today is, I'm not going to inundate you with a bunch of product demos today. There's always a couple of common questions I get during the deals, and I was up very late last night answering questions for many of the members here and many in my own groups. And pretty much everything on site is on sale to a degree. And Lifepro is advertising up to 44% off site-wide. But I think if you look a little closer, you're going to see some items are 50%, some are 60%. There's even some upwards of 70% off. I'm beginning to notice with these prime sales from year to year, it's almost trumping and precursing the Black Friday anticipation. And I think this is really a time, certainly for Amazon, which has, forced the retailers to follow suit. It's sell to get stock in for Black Friday and Christmas deals. And unfortunately, with the way the economy's been going lately, things aren't going down in price. So if you have been looking at something, thank you, Betsy. Nice to see you. And thanks for joining me. If there's something that you've been looking at personally for some time, I would suggest before inventory levels deplete, jump on them today. And I think you may see some additional sales with Lifepro Direct. So if you're shopping for Lifepro deals, there's two ways that you can shop. In the US, you can shop direct with Lifepro. When you're dealing direct with Lifepro, in many cases, there may be different inventory and there may be different pricing. Amazon does what Amazon wants, and some of the deals are more controlled by Amazon than Lifepro themselves. So I would suggest going in and comparing if there's a particular item that's in stock on both sites, and just see where the better deal may be. So in the past, some of the common asks that I get, one area that a lot of people ask me about is the red light belts. What's the differences between the red light belts, the ones that plug in, the ones that don't, the features, the diodes, what's a triple chip? So that there's lots of different components when it comes to red light therapies. All of Lifepro's red light belts also, of course, offer infrared. So if you are curious and want to make a decision on a red light belt today, or there's a couple in stock and you're not sure, which one you should be going for, instead of getting caught up in the hype, I want you to be happy with your purchase when you get it home. I don't want you buying it just based on emotion and price and all the hype with Prime. So there's lots of time. In the event today on Lifepro's main page, I posted 2 past sessions that I've done. I did about 3 months ago. Hello, Miss Wilson. I did a massive comparison. I lined up all the red light belts that Lifepro has come out with to date, and I went through the features of each of them. So you can visually and mentally kind of trigger what the differences are between the new higher. The newer battery pack versions have higher intensity diodes, so they have a shorter treatment time, whereas some of the traditional belts have longer extended treatment time. So sometimes it's not always about, think about your experience and how you're going to be using and applying some of these tools. With red light, I'll just go off on a bit of a tangent when there's so many red light options with Lifepro. If you've got a chronic issue, a symptom that you're going to be managing long term, sometimes looking for a device that is tailored as a wearable, knee brace, sinus thing. There may be things that you're treating regularly and looking at a device specifically for that symptom or that area is a good idea. But I want you to also think about, what you actually can visualize yourself using. Are you the type of person that would like to put something on, or maybe you're more of a set it and forget it person? And one of the big deals I wanted to mention today is the BioHeal panels. They've kind of been a steady horse as far as my recommendations, both the small and the large panel. I wrote it down, 41% off on the small panel and 46% off on the larger panel. I know a lot of my therapists, those of you that are working with others as care providers, they're great because you can combine what you're doing as another treatment with the red light. I commonly set up the large panel and cast it upon myself while I'm doing my vibration sessions, if you've watched any of those. So that's like huge value on that type of technology. And they, of course, have the red light and the infrared technology. A lot of my seniors, or those of you that might be dealing with some mobility concerns, those types of things, the set it and forget it versus sometimes the wearables, if you've got grip strength or coordination issues. So when you're looking at these things, think about your situation. And if you're administering or applying these tools yourself, what's going to be the most suitable for your situation? I'm going to sort of stay on the theme of light therapies, and I'm going to move into infrared specifically. The BioRemedy blankets are on big bang for your buck right now, 61 to 65% off, depending on color. And there's a few different color choices. So if you're considering infrared, the time of year is coming. Fall is here. If it's not cool where you're at yet, I call fall and winter more my sauna season. In the summer, I'm outdoors, and not that I don't do sauna, but not as frequently perhaps as I do in the winter when my aches and my pains and my body temps are just a little bit different. So 61 to 65% off on the BioRemedy blankets. The wraps are also on sale. So if you've been a blanket user for some time and you want to upgrade to something a little bit more robust, the wraps are also on sale. I believe 44% off on the Rejuva wrap and the BioRemedy wraps. So take a look at those options as well when you look there. Massage guns. There's lots of choices out there. One of my faves is always the littlest. The Dyna Mini is on 42% off for the sale as well. The Dyna Mini is the perfect purse. It's almost like having a therapist in your purse. Many of my members in my groups deal with chronic issues, inflammation, swelling, the arthritic stuff, hand issues, ankle issues, the neuropathy, all those things where you just sometimes need a fix throughout the course of the day. I always encourage treating your symptoms as they present, not leaving it till you get home at 5 o'clock. But sometimes you're not home and you don't have access to your vibration plate or your sauna or whatever your go-to may be. So the Dyna Mini is a great compact massage gun. It packs a heck of a punch. It comes with its own little carrying case and some 4 different attachments. It is, where did I put that? 42% off, as I said, well under $100. I think it's actually under $50 US. So that's something to consider, whether that's for yourself or maybe you're looking ahead already towards some Christmas presents, those types of things. They're always a popular choice under the tree at our house for our gift exchange. I always try to include massage gun, and there's usually a fight over it. Let's move on to other red light therapies. I didn't do a demo on these ones yet, but Amber and Roseanne have done some work with them. The new LumaGlow, Infra Glow, LumaGlow. My tongue today. The LumaGlow floor lamps. There's two versions. They're a red light therapy lamp. They're awesome, just as functional furniture. I like to refer some of these things as. They have a nice compact heavy base with a long, tall, stretched out head. There's an option with a single head, and the dual model has two heads. You can use it just as a standard LED white light, but you've also got the red light feature there as well. I think you'll really enjoy those. Those are 58 to 60% off, depending on whether you're looking at the single or the duo. Awesome value on those. And they're a fairly new product. Many of you probably have not taken a close look. And if you are looking for someone who is also a Lifepro fan in your family, they're more than affordable and would make a great gift. Like I say, they're newer to the Lifepro lineup. Two options there. The Infra Glow lamp is always a favorite of mine too. It's 44% off. It's the small clip bulb lamp style. My stepmom loves that one. It's a good portable option too. If you did want some therapy at the office, you can clip it onto literally the leg of a desk and treat the neuropathy. You can clip it on the side of a table. You can clip it to a bookshelf, the roof, whatever kind of works for you. I've got grid ceiling in here is the reason I mentioned the roof. I've clipped it to the connector pieces before. It comes in two colors, and it's 44 or 45% off, depending on which color, the black or the white that you're looking at. Huge value on that one. It's well under $40. Flex vest. I did a feature last week on the flex vests. A couple weeks ago, actually, I've done a few working out with weights. The flex vest is also brand new to Lifepro's lineup. There's a men's and a women's size, and they also include 2 5-pound strap-on ankle or wrist weights. So really good value on, many of you have been waiting and asking for the vests. So these are a great compliment. My butt and my thighs are starting to hurt again since I've started incorporating these into the workout. So that tells me I've been slacking. So I've really been enjoying this. The ankle and the wrist weights are also, even though they're the inclusion with the vest, they're a great way to start incorporating weights with your workout. Maybe you want to work the arms a little bit more while you're doing your vibration plate sessions. They're an awesome little add-on and technically can be portable. So if you're traveling or you want something at the office, just maybe you're a walker or a jogger, you can simply put these wearable weights on and force those muscles and those bones to work a little harder. The more you push them, the more they're going to return with stronger bones and stronger muscles. So that's a good value on those. Many of the dumbbells, the TriForm, if you are looking at weights, there's lots and lots of options, deep discounts across the board. Check that out. JumpTrack. Many of you have been looking at the new rebounders. There's two sizes, depending on how much weight capacity you want. Weight capacity on rebounders, vibration plates, anything like that doesn't necessarily mean just your stature and your size, although you want to consider that. But maybe you do want to add some weights. I've just talked about incorporating the vest or some adjustable kettlebells, perhaps the TriForm system. So you want to make sure that if you're looking at a rebounder or a vibration plate or a treadmill, anything that's got a weight capacity, you want to make sure that you give yourself some room if you do plan on incorporating weights. The larger capacity JumpTrack is on sale 51% off, and the light model is 44% off. So huge value on those. Again, new product on the shelf. Maybe you're thinking for yourself, maybe you're looking ahead to Black Friday. Great option on that one. Let's talk vibration plates for a little bit, which is absolutely, as you know, my wheelhouse. I'm having a hot flash, so I need to take a layer off. There's so many deals on vibration plates. Pretty much all of them are at least 40% off. Some are 44% off, some a couple more. I'm going to give a little bit of spotlight to the Rumblex Max. For those of you that are looking at a Rumblex series, you want, a fitness machine, you want something with more weight capacity. The Max, I think sometimes because of how it comes up on the website, and I talk a lot about the Plus, which is my workhorse that I use in most of my sessions. I do not have the Max model, but many of my members use it. It's just, I think it's about a pound or two lighter than the Plus, but it is a few bucks cheaper every day of the week. So it's a good one to consider if you are looking at a Rumblex. The Max is on 44% off, as is the Plus. So the Plus is on for 40% off on the Plus, 44% off on the Max. And as I said, its regular price is the cheapest of all the Rumblex. It was initially launched as a higher capacity model for Rumblex Max, thus the name. But I believe all of the Rumblex models now have a 500-pound capacity. But I think that one just doesn't get the attention that it deserves. Kim, who's here, if she's still here, has the Max, and I know that she's enjoying that model as well. The other one that I wanted to bring a little attention to that I haven't talked about enough is the Hexa Plate, not the light, the itty bitty bitty one, but the regular Hexa Plate model. It's 45% off. It's a little bit smaller than the Mini. It's got the therapeutic bumps, so I do recommend it more as a seated use machine. When you get smaller than the Mini, they do get lighter, they get more compact, and I would recommend the more compact machines, less for fitness and lots of standing. They can be a little tippy if you're doing dynamic exercises on them. If you're taller, if you're dealing with, mobility concerns, poor balance, those types of things, I want you to ensure that you've got some stability. But I do really like the Hexa Plate as a seated use model and some light standing. It's just a little bit bigger than the light model, which is super, super compact. I typically, when I go to see clients in their home, or just to give them a try, I like taking the Hexa Plate Light. It gives a good representation of the primary movement, oscillating movement, so people can physically understand that. They can see what the bumps look like, and you can kind of decide right off the bat if that's for you or not. But it's nice and light, and the cord is attached to the unit. So it's not one of the cords that come out. I'm really bad for taking my cords out, and then I don't know where I put my cords. I have buckets of cords and extensions everywhere. But I like that one because I never forget the cord. It's attached to the plate. It's kind of a silly thing. So check that one out if you haven't already. It's all of these prices I'm quoting today are direct through Lifepro. The ones on Amazon are ever changing, but I think you're going to find the best bang for your buck at home with Lifepro. And as I said, there are other models available. The Turbo is on sale. That's another one that sometimes doesn't get enough of the spotlight. The Turbo and the Hovert are kind of in the middle. They've got that primary oscillating movement that you want, but they also have an optional. With the Hovert, you've got optional lateral movement. And with the Turbo, you've got pulsation. I personally am not a huge fan of lateral. It's less scientific. It's more of a feature. Many of my members with lymphatic issues like using it. They like how it moves. It's a good mix up to the oscillating. But the Turbo is one that I like to recommend, especially for those that are wanting, you want a little more than oscillating. You want something a little bit more of a milder entry point. That pulsation is a movement style. It's a mild vertical, so it's a very low amplitude and low intensity vertical machine. It's great for neuropathy, some direct massage, as a mix up to combine with your oscillating. So the Turbo is one I would consider. I know for sure it's 40% off, maybe 44, but I didn't write that one down. It was just on my brain because of a conversation I had just before I got online. So if you've got perhaps a Mini or a compact now, and you're thinking you do want to step up to something a little bit more substantial, but the Rumblex is a little more than you're looking for, be that price. Each movement type in a vibration plate it requires its own motor and all of its own components. So you're not going to get all the moves in an itty bitty machine. It's just scientifically not the way it goes. So the smaller, more compact models tend to have one, maybe two movements or features, Whereas once you build up to the Rumblex, where they've got oscillating, pulsation, and lateral movement, there's 3 motors, there's 3 sets of components and housing. They're going to be larger, and they're certainly going to be heavier and a bit more investment, for those of you that are kind of wondering about that sometimes. So outside of that, I'm not going to keep you all day because I know you want to get shopping. I do want to offer, if anyone is here, I always invite questions. Maybe you have a question, you're considering something, you're not sure, maybe you've got a medical concern and you got a question about contraindications. If you do have questions, whether it's right now during the live or you're watching this later and you're shopping tonight and you have a question, I am available. Maybe not 24/7, but pretty close. Tag me at Debbie with a Y if you're watching this later on a recorded basis, or maybe you just think of something after the fact when the live wraps. Just tag me at Debbie with a Y if you have any use related, whether this is appropriate. Should I look at this? What should I think about that? Those types of questions, because I know you're so inundated with all these sales emails and all these ads coming at you through all the social media channels. And sometimes, 60% is awesome. It's better than 50, but sometimes don't be driven by the discount. Sometimes you end up actually paying more because there's that, it's on so much better a deal. I want to make sure the products that you take home for this sale are not only something you're going to use, but enjoy using. I want you getting something that is easy to fit into your lifestyle, not something that you gotta do or it's this big drag. Annie, if you want to tag me, it's just at Debbie with a Y, and then you'll see Debbie Pelche come up, and it should give me a tag. And I sometimes if you're making a comment, I don't always get a notification. I do keep an eye on comments for a day or two after the live, but unless you tag me, it's not a guarantee that I'll get notified. Or when in doubt, feel free to just send me a personal message as well. If it's, I tend to be less accessible sometimes on personal message because I get many of those in a day. But if you are unable to tag me, feel free to send me a message. Just let me know. Don't say I have a question. Just tell me what your question is, and I'll do my very best to get back to you within a timely manner. As I said, if you're just joining me in the event, I dropped 2 sessions. The first one I mentioned is a comparison of red light belts. I always get lots of questions about the belts. Which one's better for this? Should I go battery? Should I go powered? So take a look at that when I get into a lot of specifics about the different ones. Is there any caution I should use regarding vibration in the head? Vibration in the head is not harmful. Our head goes through vibration all the time when we take a step, when we jump, when we run. But if you're dealing with something particularly of concern, you got some ocular, some ear, some recent dental work, I do recommend modifying if you've got issues, current issues, or sensitivities. For sure, make sure if you're standing on the plate that you bend your knees. If you're locking the legs, you're just turning yourself into this pendulum, and the head's taking the swing of all the movement. But if you are dealing with something, recovering with something, there's a bazillion ways you can modify use. One of the big things with vibration plates and just activity in general, all a vibration plate is a way for you to get moving. And in many cases, if you can't move yourself, it can move you. But it is what level of activity is appropriate for your situation. So if you're dealing with something where, due to, I don't know, a recent cataract surgery, or maybe you had a recent retinal tear, maybe you're at high risk for things like that. You've got ocular implants. You can modify how you use the plate in changing your position, changing the settings to accommodate for those type of things. So with me personally, not Lifepro, because I've specialized in the plates for so many years, my experience and in supporting also the medical professionals using them with these types of conditions is far more than most out there. So what comes out of my mouth as an answer sometimes is different just based on my experience. If you are dealing with glaucoma, thank you. I support many with glaucoma, and the big caution is you don't want to overdo it. Too much blood flow, too much circulation, and that's an intensity and that's a time thing. So The number one question I probably see every day in the VIP group is, why can't I go more than 10 minutes? Why can't I go more than 15 minutes? As good as it feels while you're on the plate, this is a device that accelerates the effects of whatever you're doing on it. So if you're just standing on it, one of the forever benefits, the things that happen every time you're on a plate, is that rush of circulation and lymph. So if you're dealing with glaucoma, you gotta be really careful about how much pressure you build through that circulation. So I recommend more often short sessions. So use it for 2 to 3 minutes, 5 or 6 times a day. See how you feel. Don't overdo it on time. And intensity is wide feet. So bring the feet closer together. And thank you for asking a question, Annie, because the other session that I posted in the event today was selecting the right vibration plate. Sometimes when you're dealing with things like glaucoma, maybe you are seated more often and you're looking for a seated model, or maybe you've been seated for a while and you're ready to step up to more standing and you want to look at something that way. So I did post a session that I did in the group here. I've got a hair that's been tickling my shoulder. That sort of compares some of the features and just gives you some common sense points to consider that you may not see in the product listing or in the sales pitch, if you will. So just a few things to consider there. And thank you very much, Annie, for asking that question. If you're dealing with glaucoma, or for some reason you've got head sensitivities or other issues, I have done a session specifically on ways to reduce the head vibes. And sometimes you can't bend the knees, or you can't bend them enough. There's other physical impairments. So you can use the step, the Aeroflex step is a great tool. You can put one side of your body on that, one on the machine. There's ways that you can put half of your body on the plate to further reduce the head vibes. So I'll post that session in the feed as well, just so you've got something else to take a look at. And any other questions, or if you spook yourself starting out, Annie, just message me. That's what I'm here for, to navigate you through some of these modifications where they're applicable. For everybody else, get surfing. As I said, the Prime deals is on, started yesterday, and it's on today as well with Amazon. Lifepro has some pretty good deals on. So I would check there first, absolutely compare to Amazon, but I think you're going to find the better bang for your buck is with Lifepro Direct. And there's a free gift. So there's a couple of choices you have in the free gift. So there's that other value add. So up to 44% off. I can assure you there is more than 44% off on many items. And if you're looking at bigger ticket items, look at the saunas. There's some new saunas out with red lights sitting in my driveway, yet to be assembled. There's some amazing new large box saunas. It's that time of year, but there's amazing discounts on those. The Zen Zone, the outdoor sauna that includes the stove, is like $500. Huge discounts on some of these products. The standard box sauna, take a look at some of these. If you're looking at the big ticket items, up to 44% off, much more in many cases. I'll drop a link to saunas, and I will drop a link to reducing head vibes for those of you concerned with that on your vibration plates. Anybody else, as I said, if you have questions and you're watching this later on, feel free to tag me at Debbie with a Y. I want to help you make an informed decision, and I want you being a successful, happy user that uses this thing regularly because you made the right choice. It's not always about price. So just take a breath and don't get caught up in all the hype. Thanks for joining me, guys. Have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next week, just after Thanksgiving here in Canada, for a workout. I look forward to seeing you guys next week.